Can you say definitively that there was collusion? There were people affiliated with the Trump campaign who were working with Russians to time the release of damaging information about Hillary Clinton that had been hacked either from John Podesta or the DNC?
I don't think we can say anything definitively at this point.
Hold it now.
As the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, as you sit here today before the hearing on March 20th, have you seen any evidence of any collusion between what I'll call Trump world, associates of campaign officials, Trump world and the Russians to swing the 2016 presidential election?
I'll give you a very simple answer. No.
No evidence of any collusion.
No evidence.
And this is after getting this information from the FBI?
Up to speed, everything I have up to this morning. There's no evidence of collusion.
Do you believe that there are elements inside the intelligence community or the FBI that are leaking information, like the name of Mike Flynn, like perhaps the fact that Attorney General Sessions met with the Russian ambassador to undercut the Trump presidency?
I think that's pretty clear, and in fact, I mean, there's been several. It's pretty clear that that's happening. There's even been stories written about it in numerous newspapers, talking about how they left breadcrumbs around to hurt the Trump administration.
So you believe that there are people inside these intelligence communities?
I don't think so anymore. I think it was largely people who were there, had classified information, who are now no longer there and decided to leak it.
Here's the question, and you don't have to provide us with any classified information, Senator. But do you have evidence that there was in fact collusion between Trump associates and Russia during the campaign?
Not at this time.
Does intelligence exist that can definitively answer the following question: whether there were improper contacts between the Trump campaign and Russian officials?
We did not include any evidence in our report, and I say our, that's NSA, FBI, and CIA with my office, the Director of National Intelligence, that had any reflection of collusion between members of the Trump campaign and the Russians. There was no evidence of that included in our report.
I understand that, but does it exist?
Not to my knowledge.
If it exists.
General Clapper, on March the 5th, 2017, you said the following to a question. Here's the question. Does intelligence exist that can definitely answer the following question? Where there were improper contacts between the Trump campaign and Russian officials, you said. We did not include any evidence in our report, and I say our, that's the NSA, the FBI, the CIA, with my office, the Director of National Intelligence, that had any reflection of collusion between members of the Trump campaign and the Russians. There was no evidence of that included in our report. Chuck Todd then asked, I understand that, but does it exist? You say, no, not to my knowledge. Is that still accurate?
It is.
I want to define what you mean by collusion, because what you're talking about seems more circumstantial to me. Bank records, perhaps contacts that were of a nebulous nature. Who knows why Flynn was talking to the Russian ambassador? It could have been, it seems to have been about sanctions. Collusion to me is very specific. It means that the Russian government or actors within were trying to elect Donald Trump. But I want to know what collusion means to you, because that seems to be the standard by which you're saying he should be impeached.
Yes, absolutely. I am talking about strategies that were developed working with the Trump campaign. I really do believe that much of what you saw coming out of Trump's mouth was a play from Putin's playbook. I think that when you saw him absolutely calling Hillary crooked, the lock her up, all of that was developed. I think that was developed strategically with people from the Kremlin, with Putin, and I think it's more than bank records. I think that you can see that visits, to Moscow were made during the campaign by Manafort and others. I think it's a lot more absolute.
So you think the Russian government developed the talking points for the Trump campaign?
I think that there was a cooperation in developing strategy about how they could ensure that Hillary Clinton was not elected. They need Trump. Trump will be there to support lifting those sanctions. That's what they really want to happen. They want to drill in the Arctic. Tillerson has negotiated a multi-billion-dollar deal with Exxon to do that drilling. They can't get the equipment, the supplies, and all that they need until the sanctions are lifted. They want Trump. Not only will he support lifting those sanctions, he also will turn a blind eye to the expansion that Putin is trying to do. He does not care about them having invaded Crimea, and he does not whether or not this egotistical maniac Putin is attempting to reunite the whole Soviet
I know we need to go soon, but just to be clear, there has been no actual evidence yet.
No, it has not been.
Okay. I just want
no,
to
it has not. And
yes, 7 months after they started an investigation of this Russia business, the only piece of evidence they have is from the word of a private sector IT company that worked for Hillary Clinton, that the Russians took the emails out of the DNC. And your own Royal Services Institute came back and said those people are lying. They never talked to us about what happened in the world of cybersecurity this year. That's the only evidence, sir. They won't let the FBI look at the DNC's server. If it wasn't for that private sector Clinton-employed company, we would have nothing to go on.
Do you think, and since you work there and you're with them in the gym or at lunch or whatever, do you think the Democratic members we see on television alleging a conspiracy involving Trump and Putin believe that there was actual collusion between the two?
If they do, where's the evidence? I'm happy to pursue it, but I don't have anybody actually presenting me any evidence. And now that we're this many months into it, come up with something. I mean, you last week or so, Maxine Waters, saying that somehow I was suspect, that my ties to the Kremlin. Are you kidding me? I live in Utah, for goodness sake. Come on. I mean, they are just
you can't
nonstop,
even see Russia from
no
your house,
accountability.
I rise today, Mr. Speaker, to call for the impeachment of the President of the United States of America for obstruction of justice.
The big question, did President Trump try to block the FBI's Russia investigation, commit an impeachable offense?
We keep hearing that I word a lot. Is impeachment now on the table?
The ground has completely shifted on Capitol Hill. So yes, you're going to have hearings. I think we know what the summer is going to be. It's going to be the summer of Comey.
I was in the Nixon administration, as you know, and I thought after watching the Clinton impeachment, I thought I'd never see another one. But I think we're in impeachment territory now for the first time.
So it's war, Mean Girls style, a slumber party of unsourced gossip followed by hysteria every single day. Now, Trump could be better, but he's 70 and never had a boss who could fire him. But there's also never been a president more hated within the Beltway. After the election, the first word out of Hillary's mouth wasn't goodbye, it was resist. And now they're all on board doing her job. But what does it really change? Nothing. It only makes the game more interesting. Our government has always done stuff that the public doesn't see. Problem is, Donald Trump doesn't hide it, making him a leaker's dream. And so we have this orgy of cable news hair burning. But how is this worse than the IRS scandal? You think Obama never slow-walked anything? You think he didn't tell the Russians to chill until he won? Think he didn't give Manning a pass? Give me a break. That's so much worse. Oh, but Greg, that shouldn't excuse Donald Trump. Yes, it does. When those drooling defenders of Obama's errors now scream for Trump's head, you bet it does. So it's a pure media play, like a 24-hour Super Bowl, and it won't end until there's a loser, which won't be the media or the pollsters, because like roaches, they survive everything. So electing Trump, a disruptive force, was revolutionary. So now what you're seeing is the counter-revolution, led by a frantic force that slept through the last 9 years. The whole thing is silly and overwrought. It's like a Twilight movie with old, ugly people.
Well, we have to remember this. You know, our first allegiance is to our country. This isn't about one president. This is about the political process of the United States of America being under attack by intelligence agencies And individuals in those agencies, yes, as you said, there might be some good people in there, but there are certain individuals who are the lifers who want to be able to direct the policy of the country. And if a president stands in their way, whether it's a Democrat or Republican, they'll just try to run that person out.
Let me just repeat what you said. You're saying President Trump is under attack by the deep state intelligence community. Fair statement?
Well, I believe that. Not only that, Sean, but it has to be pointed out in October of 2016, that same deep state overrode the decision of President Obama and Secretary Kerry to come to an agreement with Russia over in a ceasefire in Syria. They overrode it and launched an attack against a Syrian military base. So this is a problem in our country. We've got to protect our nation here. People have to be aware of what's going on. We've got to stand up for America now. This isn't about Democrat, Republican. This is about getting what's going on in the moment and understanding that our country itself is under attack from within.